Hello and welcome to Chronological Clone Wars, presented by the Podawakens. My name is Jordan. With me on his first watch of the Clone Wars is Logan. How are you today, Logan?
I'm good, Jordan. It's going to be a busy week coming up. We got this will date the podcast here, but my nephew's coming into town, and they're not. He's not a big Star Wars fan because he's only one and a half. So, but
That's a
usually,
problem.
I know. We'll have to see what happens. We're taking to Hollywood Studios, which they have some of the Star Wars things. So maybe we'll sneak into something and kind of at least walk around and show them kind of what it looks like, but. Yeah, not to the age yet. I don't think that he's loves Mickey Mouse, loves Toy Story, and he loves cars. So he's getting there. Like he's getting to that age where I think at least seeing characters for as far as Star Wars like on the TV would be fun. Like Clone Wars would be, I think, a good little start because I think Clone Wars is more geared towards the animated, and I know kids have a harder time listening to real people on TV. So,
Young Jedi Adventures. Put that on for him. That's
yeah,
the High Republic cartoon. It's more aimed at younger kids, so
that's a good one. Yeah, I'll have to put that on.
that might be my son's introduction. Like day one when I bring him back from the hospital. Like, here's some Star Wars.
Yeah, maybe in the morning before we head over to studios and stuff, as people are getting ready,
Yeah,
we'll throw on some Star Wars for him, see what happens.
yeah. And then
Brother's not a
maybe
big Star
he'll.
Wars fan though.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. How about
Yes,
your whole family? Like, are
no,
you the biggest Star Wars fan in your
no,
family?
no. Actually, my aunt and uncle and my cousin were big Star Wars people. But
Really?
I will say, my dad went to the Star Wars movie when it was in theater because it was like how everybody
Yeah, it
listening
was
to it
huge.
probably
Yeah.
knows how that was that lived in that time. That they said it was the craziest thing they've ever seen on film. So they all went, and that was drive-in theaters too. So Jordan,
Hmm.
that's another thing. The drive-in theater was actually showing Star Wars. Phantom Menace, and they were doing their
Oh,
celebration. They're doing it next week. So,
I saw Empire Strikes Back at the drive-in
oh,
during
did you?
COVID. Yeah, it was really cool. And we also saw Avengers at our regular movie theater, but because it was COVID, they were doing a showing outside in the parking lot.
Oh, that's cool.
So we saw Avengers during COVID as well. So um, crazy how fast that's gone. I mean, just like that was 2020. So
4 years ago.
Avengers was only 8 years old at that point. It's now
Yeah.
12. Oh boy, getting up there in the ages. But yeah, we got a 4 episode block for you this week, which is episode 14, A Friend in Need, episode 15 of season 4, Deception, episode 16 of season 4, Friends and Enemies, and episode 17 of season 4, The Box. And I alluded to it last time is that like this ends on a little cliffhanger here because the next episode, Crisis on Naboo, is supposed to be the plan that the bounty hunters are going through with. But I actually kind of like that we're going to end that on a cliffhanger, and then we'll kind of pick that up next week, along with some other stories next week. But that's just the way it happened because I ended up the way I broke up these episodes. A Friend in Need is actually like not part of any arc, so it ended up having to either be in last week or this week, and I ended up putting it in this week's episodes. And that one is directed by Dave Filoni and written by Christian Taylor, and it premiered January 13th, 2012. And the synopsis is Ahsoka is ensnared in Lux Bontari's dangerous crusade for justice. And you may remember Lux from the last time he appeared, season 3, episode 10, Heroes on Both Sides, where his mom gets killed by Dooku. And he brings that up in this episode, but they don't really believe him. So I think this episode sets up pretty interestingly that they're having peace talks between the Separatists and the Republic on the planet of Mandalore, which is supposed to be, I think, more like a neutral ground for them to talk. But Lux Bonteri shows up and pretty much just, I don't know, like ends the peace talks pretty much by immediately throwing Dooku under the bus for killing his mom, which we do know he did do. What was your thoughts on seeing Lux Bonteri show up again? Were you surprised that he was back? Or, like, he was really only in the one episode before that. Like, did you think that he was ever going to appear again, or what was your thought there?
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've forgotten that he existed before, and then I was like, "Who is this?" I was like, "I know at some point we meet Ezra," and I was like, "This isn't who that is." And I was very confused, and then I was like, "Oh, that's right. We've met him before." Um,
Yes, yeah,
he's yeah, but uh, being his friend is no luxury. I would say that.
that's terrible. Yes. So Lux throws Dooku under the bus here. He gets taken away, and Dooku is going to order his death, but Ahsoka comes in and saves him. Um, Lux, she's going to take him back to the Republic, but Lux puts a blaster on her and says, "I have a plan. I can't. You can't go with me." So he stuns her, and he is meeting up with Bo-Katan and the rest of Death Watch. So we get Bo-Katan in this episode here, and Lux says that he had like a somehow put like a tracker on Dooku's transmission, so he is able to tell where Dooku is, and he is giving that information over to Death Watch so that they can help him take Dooku out. But he will soon learn that maybe Death Watch is not the best people to trust with this. I don't know. If you were running into a group called Death Watch, you think that would be the best group to team up with?
No, death has a bad connotation. I don't. I don't really. Yeah, no. And Bo-Katan just gives me the. She just gives the bad vibes, like just the. Don't know if I trust you.
I'm thinking like too. I wonder. I wonder if he's like, oh, Death Watch is in their name. They're gonna totally help me kill Dooku.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I don't know.
like if that's just how he's like, oh, they have death in the name. They'll help me kill somebody. I
Right.
wonder.
Maybe he thought they were a band. Sounds very bandish.
It does. It'd be a pretty cool band name, Death
Yeah,
Watch.
Death Watch, baby.
Uh,
They wear Mando gear.
and this is how you can tell when they want you to hate somebody. I feel like is how they treat droids, because
Yeah,
they
it's
go to
true.
this compound and they are like just using droids for target practice, and R2 is
Yeah,
very sad. And I put in my notes he has like a panic attack
yeah, he
when
did.
he's going in there to repair them, and they all are begging to be repaired, and he's like really stressed out. He's like, wow, he
Yeah,
does like his high pitch scream.
it's kind of
um
like when horror films, like it seems like in horror films. I know you don't watch a ton of them, but
what do you do with
or
animals
any
or
of them,
something?
yeah, they always have the person kill a dog. It's like okay, like that's the way we establish they're evil,
Yeah,
not
droids
killing the
are kind of
people.
that
Yeah,
in
set
Star
pat,
Wars. Yeah.
right? Yeah,
um so we have Vizsla comes in here. He was the governor in the Mandalorian episodes of Death Watch over on the moon. Um, tried to kill Satine and Obi-Wan a few episodes ago. And he is, of course, he's the one voiced by Jon Favreau. So he comes in and, is very excited about working with Lux. Lux and Ahsoka, because Ahsoka came out and started talking to Bo-Katan. Well, I guess it was before. Yeah, I guess she doesn't know Bo-Katan at this point. She understands that it's Death Watch, but they don't know who Ahsoka is. And Ahsoka's going out there and talking to Lux, and she's got that R2 plan. R2's coming out with the lightsabers. She has to call them off in the snow because they're going to pose as betrothed lovers. So that's what, like, when Vizsla walks in, it's like Lux and Ahsoka like making out, right? Because they had to like pose as being lovers. Um, Lux is going to realize though he's kind of working with the wrong people, because the locals are going to come in and say, "Hey, you took all of our women, and we want you out of here." And Vizsla's like, no problem. We'll return your women and we'll come out. Like, we'll leave. Wink, wink, right? And you're like, he obviously isn't going to do that, right? And The next day, they go and deliver the women, and as soon as the one that like Ahsoka befriended gets to her father, he whips out the dark saber and stabs her, and then they just start killing them all. He's like, kill them all. Like, what the hell, man? And Lux at that point's like, oh jeez, like this is not what I signed up for. This is not what I wanted to do. Um, and Ahsoka pretty much has to save the day here. What was your thoughts here with Vizsla just absolutely setting like going to these locals? They've taken over this planet, I guess. The locals are upset. They've kidnapped all their women, and then he starts killing them and all the people, and just to really prove how evil they are. But what was your thoughts with Vizsla and Deathwatch?
Yeah, I was gonna say they're ruthless, and I think we present them again. The more that they can kill villagers, and I think that's the way they kind of set up Anakin too. When he goes, who I forget, is it Jawas that he goes and kills?
Oh no, the Tusken Raiders. Yeah.
That's right, Tusken. I was like, who they go in? He goes into a village, but it's like the way to establish like nobody's safe, which nobody is, and I think that's ultimately what they're trying to establish. And with Death Watch, I think it again. I've got it's funny because Jordan, I had a different impression of Death Watch before because I've seen Mandalore or the Mandalorian,
Yes.
and I've seen
Yes.
and like Bo-Katan works with Din Djarin, and Boba Fett, and, like it. It's weird because it's like I see them more as like they don't really want to get involved or help unless it's for their own cause. Whereas this, they were. I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know they were flat out evil. Like they were, they're brutal. So it's weird to me when they present her in the way that they do in Mandalorian because it's like,
Well,
whoa,
she'll have a character arc. You'll
yeah,
see that in this show, so
right,
that'll help, I think. But Death Watch as itself, like Din Djarin was raised
yeah,
by Death Watch,
right,
if I'm not mistaken. So, um, maybe like a different sect of Death Watch that don't take their helmets off as much, but he was
yeah,
definitely more with like that side of Mandalore growing up at this time. Um, so that is a very interesting thing, and it's something I was thinking about when I was watching this. I was like, Logan's gonna be like, "What the hell? Like these are people that I thought were good
yes, yeah,
from the Mandalorian,"
yeah.
and I'm gonna be like, I'm really confused, and I thought that would happen. So I'll just say Bo-Katan will have a character arc,
Yeah.
and
Otherwise, this
will
was a complete turn on the dime where she's just all of a sudden like, you know what?
yeah. So Ahsoka starts to save the day. She gets caught. R2 is going to fix the droids who asked for help, and um, R2 is going to save them, right? Like they all run out of the tent, and R2's got his droids, and Lux is like, "Oh, looks like R2 made friends," and they're all like, they're so ready to fight back against the Mandalorians after how they've been treated. Dude, this part though, where R2 like gives her the sabers, if I'm not mistaken, she jumped up and cut off so many Mandalorians' heads in that
Yes.
circle that was surrounding her.
Yep.
I'm like, those like 6 people are dead. She just
Yeah.
comes up and goes, phew,
Yeah.
and you just see their heads go flying.
Yeah.
Um, and they're all about the fighter, and he's like, Vizsla's like, no, the Jedi is mine, and he starts, they start fighting, and we get a great fight scene here. She's gonna cut his jetpack so he can't fly, but he's thinking she like tried to make a killing blow, and she's like, I didn't miss, man. And then that thing starts about to blow up. Um, then he has to send other people after her because his jetpack's down. So Bo-Katan and her start fighting, and she falls off of the speeder, and they escape. And Lux is going to use the escape pod. He still will not go with her, and he's like, I got something to do. I cannot go to the Republic. And they say their goodbyes, and that was a nice one-off episode with Ahsoka and the Mandalorians.
Great episode though. Like I love
It
Death Watch.
was. The action was great at the end too, like the
It
fight, the
was.
battle.
Yeah. But I love Death Watch. I really do. I really like Bo-Katan a lot. Great name too.
Yeah, it's fun to say. Bo-Katan.
Mhm.
Fun name to say. All right, so another one that may have really threw you off is the next episode. Deception, directed by Kyle Dunleavy, written by Brent Friedman, premiered January 20th, 2012. Um, I previously covered this episode, by the way, on our road to the Book of Boba Fett, because guess who appears in the middle of this episode? Boba Fett
Boba
in
Fett.
prison. So for that one scene, my cousin and I talked about
That's
this
funny.
episode of the Clone
I
Wars.
love that.
How about this beginning though? Obi-Wan dies. They have a funeral and everything. What was your thoughts? Were you like, did I walk into an alternate dimension here where
Yeah.
Obi-Wan died?
I thought I was watching What If. I had to change it. I was like, wait, this isn't Avengers. Yeah, I was like, wait, do we get like a what happened? And then I was like, no way, they're playing one of those fake death episodes, and they did.
Yeah.
It seems like every show has this, like especially detective shows. Like I've watched CSI Miami and Blue Bloods.
Where they have to act like
the
the person's dead so they can go undercover or something.
Yes, it's brilliant. But I love that they bring this into Clone Wars. It's a lot of fun.
Yeah, I was like, Logan is probably 2 episodes in a row. Like, what the hell happened?
It was because like at first on this one I was like I had to rewind it a little bit because like wait no way there's no
Yeah,
what?
you're like, there's
like,
no way he's actually dead.
I thought it was a dream. I'm not gonna lie to you. I thought it was like one of Anakin's like or Padme's like dreams.
Dream,
At first. Because I thought like maybe Padme was dreaming that Obi-Wan would die if something didn't happen with Anakin or something. So
Yeah, you get the great conversation of Yoda and Mace Windu where they're like, do you think this was the right move to kill a Jedi? And you're like, oh my god, they were in on it?
right. I was like, man, this show. I was like, this makes everything else that happens after this really interesting to me. Like, who's this crazy ass dude that's Ben? Like, who is
you're like, wait, what? Yeah, but Obi-Wan ends up, it was a fake death, so he would go into prison so they could get with Malo Eval and Malo Eval is trying to do this plan to capture the Chancellor, and this is their best way in figuring out how to stop that. So that's what it is. But they had to sell it, and that's Obi-Wan's thing, right? Like, Anakin couldn't know because of the connection that they have. He needed his reaction. He needed to sell it. Probably not the best move, though, I would say, because we kind of know Anakin flies off the handle. You would think they would know that too, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little like he's probably one that could have been let in on the secret, but or at least tell him after he's actually safely in the prison. Like, all right, look, Obi-Wan is actually alive. He's undercover. Don't kill anybody.
Yeah, he's the one that I would think you would be like. He'd be first up on the. Hey, let's have Anakin in the office and just tell him, what's going on.
Yeah, once you got the reaction of him thinking Obi-Wan was dead, he can know.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I feel like he can know at that point, because what else is he going to do? You don't want him to investigate it and then actually, like, he gets close to killing Obi-Wan because he wants to kill Hardeen.
Yeah. The more I think about it, Jordan, the more I'm starting to like really lean on Anakin, going, it's not really Anakin's fault, him turning to the dark side. Like, Obi-Wan gaslights him, Mace Windu abuses him, Yoda lies to him. Like, what is this? What kind of leadership is this? Of course he doesn't have trust with you people. And Palpatine actually is the only one that looks out for him, it seems. So no wonder he turns.
Yeah, Palpatine knows exactly what he's doing here. And in one of these episodes, he's going to tell Anakin where to find Hardeen, because he knows he knows what they're doing.
Yes. Do it.
So Obi-Wan gets like this whole like face changer and voice changer thing.
That's weird.
Yeah, swallow this droid to make the voice changer. Would you do this?
No, God, no. I put a robot in my mouth. Like, no, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you.
I feel like I would.
Would you?
Yeah, I feel like I would.
It's like taking Polyjuice potion. Like, this is like...
That's what I was going to say. This is like Obi-Wan takes Polyjuice here.
I don't know.
It's a little... It's worse than Polyjuice, because you got to swallow this droid.
That's true. It's got to be painful, right? Like, I had a hard time swallowing pills. There's still pills that I have a hard time.
Oh, yeah, me too. Yeah. Me too. So like maybe I couldn't do it. But like, so what do you think? The droid like attaches here? So like,
That's
where
what I
does
was
this
thinking
droid
too. I was
go?
like, it has to go to the vocal cord. That's got to hurt, right?
Yeah, just
How?
feeling like this like robotic spider on your
Yeah. I'd
vocal
love to see
cords
who they
all the time.
tested this on at first. They're like, oh, damn, we killed the Jedi trying this little robot thing. Ah, well, it's fine.
Yeah,
We'll
that
try
makes me
it.
wonder: is this like available to anybody? Can anybody do
Is this
this,
over the
or is
counter?
this is this over the counter where people are constantly posing as people and have to swallow this droid? Or yeah, is it like a brand new thing that the Jedi have? Um, well, we got to see a really fun thing here. Obi-Wan gets cellmates with Malo Val, but he already has a cellmate, and it's Cad Bane from when he was last imprisoned. Uh, and Cad Bane is a little weary about Obi-Wan as Rocco Hardeen here, and gets him moved out of the cell like within minutes. He's like, "Nah, we're not. Guards, take him away." And he has to get it to a different cell. But what was your thoughts of the little surprise showing of Cad Bane?
This is literally one of my favorite episodes because of all the. I love when they bring all the enemies together. It's kind of like, is it Spider-Man that does this, right? Yeah, it is Spider-Man. Multiple times in
Yeah, with like
Spider-Man.
No Way Home
Yeah, they
does it
bring
right.
villains in the same Batman. They have this with Batman too. I love these episodes. This story arc of like, let's get all these villains that are imprisoned by all the great, that have been screwed over by the hero for so many reasons, and all these guys have been screwed. These bounty hunters and the Siths they've all been screwed by the Jedi Council, and here they all are in prison as they're walking back and forth. Like, it was cool when they were walking in behind, and I was like, "This is
Yeah,
fun."
because I mean, this episode, Boba Fett comes in,
Yep,
knocks the tray of food, right? Like Bosk joins the fight, right?
yep,
We've had Cad Bane. You have just a lot of good little cameos from people that should be in prison right now, and they
yeah,
are, and they're, that's it's great. But they did this whole Boba Fett thing to kind of create a diversion, so that way Cad Bane and Malo Aval can escape, and Obi-Wan catches on to this and it follows them. How about this too? Obi-Wan, they put a little comm link underneath the workout bench for him, and I love to know that like their workout benches in a galaxy far, far away are just like ours.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
it's
Planet
exactly like
Fitness,
ours.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. And he reaches under, has a comm link, and he uses the name Ben. He said Ben here, right? So is this the
Love that.
first time that Obi-Wan is going by the name Ben? I guess so.
I love that. It's a
First time that
great
we know
nod.
of, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah. They escape through the morgue, and apparently Cad Bane has been in this prison a few times. He knows that this is the way to escape. And they changed the access code though, and Obi-Wan's like, "I'm a hacker. Let me do this," and he just uses the Force to get in here. And I loved seeing this too, that the
Yeah.
Force is able to just even unlock doors like this. Pretty cool. But then when they're escaping, like there's only one pod that has a person in it that's about to get cremated, and Obi-Wan has to get into that one while the other two were empty, I guess. But the clones and the guards realize that they have three life forms in there, and they have to stop them before they get cremated, and then they end up having to fight the clones. And Obi-Wan kind of hesitates on shooting one, says his gun jammed, and Cad Bane slaps him. But Malo Oval is very impressed by Obi-Wan. I think it's very interesting because this episode, Cad Bane is very anti Rocco Hardeen / Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yes.
Malo Oval is very pro this, right?
Yeah.
Once we get to that third one, though, Malo Oval is very anti Obi-Wan because Count Dooku's constantly in his ear
Mm-hmm.
about how the box that he made, this trial to get all of these bounty hunters, is not good enough because Rocco Hardeen / Obi-Wan Kenobi continues to save everybody. And it turns Malioval on him because Dooku is like threatening to not put him in charge of this mission anymore. Cad Bane kind of starts respecting him a bit more because Hardeen is constantly figuring out ways to get through this, and he realizes that he needs him. And so much so that he's about to die and Cad Bane will save him. And it's like this fun little twist of Cad Bane saving him. But how they started off on totally opposite ends on their thoughts on Obi-Wan and then end up on the totally other side, I think was a really cool like arc for these three episodes.
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I didn't even think of that as it was evolving.
Pun intended with Malo
Yeah,
Eval.
Malo Eval. I didn't even know who this guy was. He reminds me of Hopper off of Bug's Life. He's angry and little
Yes, he
grasshopper
does.
looking character. I don't know what he was. I was like, this is great. I and very what do they call that? I guess Game Master. That's what I want to call him. Game Master. Because the
Yes.
next episode has a lot of Divergent Hunger Game kind of feel to it, and it's funny because all these things, all these references I make, Jordan, Clone Wars became before this, all these movies and franchises. So it's pretty cool that
Yeah.
it feels very I don't know, foundational. Some of the stuff that Star Wars used.
Friends and Enemies was directed by Bosco Nien. I never know how to pronounce that. I should probably figure it out.
Which one is it? How do you?
The last name that ends with the last name that's just NG.
Oh,
Like I
yeah,
don't know how to pronounce that.
yeah. No, I thought you meant the NGUYEN, the Wayne.
No, that's Win, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Lee
Win.
Win,
Yeah,
MLS player. Brent
there
Friedman
we go.
wrote the episode. It premiered January 27th. This is the one where a disguised Obi-Wan is hunted by Anakin and Ahsoka, and their whole thing is like the ship crashes, right? And their safety procedures must be out of this world because this crash is brutal, and
Yeah,
all three walk away like, "Ah, that was fine."
their safety star features must be great. Like they're up there with Toyota and Honda.
Yeah, yeah.
Great
I mean, this
crash
thing
safety
breaks
rating.
in like three pieces, lands in the swamp. It does a flip, all this stuff, and they walk out like, "Oh, yeah, nobody's dead." Cad Bane gets a hat that is very similar to his hat.
Yeah.
And he wants to ditch Obi-Wan once they have a ship. And Obi-Wan gets captured. Um, he had put a tracker on the ship that he had bought, and he tells his captor, but he isn't freed from this. He's like, "Hey, look, I'll lead you to them. I put a tracking thing on their ship." He has to end up breaking out. And then Obi-Wan contacts the council and he's like, "Hey, can you remove the bounty from us so we can kind of move freely and I can kind of catch up to them, all this kind of stuff." And they tell Palpatine this, and he doesn't know that Obi-Wan's undercover. To our knowledge, he doesn't know. He might know. And he's like, "Why? Like, why are we removing the bounty from the people that are trying to kidnap me?" Which is a fair question, I would say. If you don't know that he is the evil emperor and he's just a normal chancellor, which is what the Jedi think, this is a tough sell to be like, "We're going to remove the bounty from the people that want to kidnap you. But just trust us here. Just trust us, Palps. We got it." Anakin's very upset, and Anakin and Ahsoka will arrive. Anakin uses his anger. Also, there's scumbags even in the, I mean, of course we know there's scumbags in this galaxy, but
Yeah.
like this alien that sells them the ship only gives them enough fuel to get to his brother's gas station. So it's
Yep.
like what is that called? It's like a ploy, right?
Yes.
To get more money. Cad Bane and Anakin will end up fighting. Anakin versus Obi-Wan fights. Cad Bane will interrupt, but Obi-Wan tries to be like, "Psst, Anakin, I'm sorry, but I can't let you follow me." And he chokes him out, right? And Anakin wakes up like, "Hey, I think Obi-Wan's alive." No particular reason, but I do feel like he is alive. And that leads us to the next episode, The Box, which I think is my favorite of these Obi-Wan undercover episodes. Directed by Brian Kalin O'Connell, written by Brent Friedman. Premiered February 3rd, 2012, and this is the one where a disguised Obi-Wan is hunted by Anakin and Ahsoka. Is that saved for both? No, this is I put the wrong synopsis here. Hold on. That's my bad. There's no way that's a synopsis for 2 in a row. Where is it? Clone Wars. The real synopsis was disguised Obi-Wan enters a competition with bounty hunters. That makes more sense. So they arrive to Count Dooku on Sereno, his home planet. Yoda does tell Anakin that Obi-Wan is alive, so he does find out now. Probably a little late. Oh my god, it is pouring. Sorry. It just started raining really hard.
Are you on Camino today?
Yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Cad Bane kills a bounty hunter and takes his hat, which is more similar to his old hat.
Yeah, this one's better for me.
Yes, he's like, I like this one better. He just kills the bounty hunter, which we find out was the brother. It was like a tag team. Like him and his brother were really good bounty hunters. And like when Dooku's introducing them all, he's like, these two brothers were very well known, and now you have to go solo because Cad Bane killed your brother. They don't even really acknowledge it. They just like, his body's lying there, and he's like, crap. I just lost my brother, and now I have to go through this box. And that's what the episode's named after. It's like a big floating cube, and only 5 can survive. And if all of them do survive outside of 5, then they will like sacrifice the other ones, I think they said, or kill them anyway. So not great. We have 4 tasks that they have to do. The first task is dioxis, which is the poisonous gas. This also appears in Phantom Menace. This is the gas that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon get gassed with on the Trade Federation ship. I just remember so much like the gas starts and Qui-Gon is just like, Deoxys. And, you know, the one where they think that they're dead and then they come out with their sabers and start killing all the battle droids. So that was a fun little nod. Obi-Wan falls into a hole and is able to say, like, hey, it's down here. Like, just drop. It's underneath the gas. We can head out here. And people trust him. Go under there. The second task is cubes with, like, blades on it moving around. I don't know. Logan, I think I'm dead the first 5 seconds of this room.
Yeah, this one I'm done. Yeah, there's no chance. Yeah, no. Too many moving things, side to side, blades, and there's no chance.
Yeah, we see one of them like get killed pretty quick. And then if you look at them jumping throughout the rest of the platforms, you can still see his body down there impaled by the blade. Yeah. Which, by the way, I think this guy is the one of the guys in this is Embo, and he appeared in the one episode where like they're all stuck on the ones that were protecting them from the pirates. Remember that one where there was a bunch of people?
Yeah, it's Battle of Fallujah, right?
Is that what it was?
Yeah, when he's protecting.
Yes, yep. Embo was on there. I think he dies in this one, or did he survive this? You know what? I think he does survive this. Okay.
They call him.
He's got such a cool look that I don't want to. Yes, he did survive. Embo does survive. So we've seen Embo a few times. I really like how you'll see like Embo and some of these characters throughout. So that's really cool. But yeah, I'd be dead in this room. The third task was a shield that closes in and will kill you unless the right person takes this potion, and it will make them be able to go through it and turn it off. I don't know how they figure. I think Obi-Wan figured this out, right? Saying that this type of alien is able to usually survive certain type of poison or potion or whatever that nobody else can survive. Because that's the clue. Only one of them
it's kind of like the Rhodian
will be able to survive it. Yeah. And uh, they ask Obi-Wan like how sure he is. He's like, well, 50-50. These guys
We'll see
are
what
like,
happens.
not great.
Yeah, odds aren't good here. It either is or isn't.
But I guess 50-50 is good when it's like probably 10 people that can take it, right? Like, that's probably a good
Yeah.
thing. But I forget what this guy was called. I called him Mushroom Guy. He kind of looks like he's got like a mushroom head. And he's able to reach through the thing and actually stop it. A couple people do die from the closing in of the shield.
Mm-hmm.
And then the final task was flames and then like sniper targets. And because Hardeen was a sniper, they're like, hey, this is your test. He has to go up there and do it. But he doesn't have enough bullets, right, to like like the gun stops when he's supposed to hit like one more target. So it's a little shady there, but he's about to fall, and this is where Cad Bane saves him. And you get Dooku coming in and being like, hey, tomorrow we're going to capture Palpatine on Naboo. And he says Cad Bane will lead the mission. And it was supposed to be Malo Eval. So Dooku used this test made by the box. The box is made by Malo Eval. Hardeen and Cad Bane are the reason why most people survive. And Dooku says, hey, we're going to give it to Cad Bane is going to be the leader. Do you think Dooku is at all like aware that maybe Hardeen is not who he thinks, and that's why he gives it to Cad Bane, or is it just because Cad Bane saved him at the end? Like, what's your thoughts on why he chose Cad Bane?
I think, like, we felt like what Palpatine knows that Obi-Wan is also Hardeen, but
I don't know if he knows he's Hardeen, but I definitely think Obi-Wan. I think Palpatine
knows Obi-Wan's
probably
not dead.
knows Obi-Wan's not dead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think ultimately, I think that's, I don't know, like it feels like,
Well, the only reason I ask is because Dooku gets told in this episode that Hardeen is the one that killed Obi-Wan. And
yeah,
he kind of says like, Obi-Wan. Like
yeah.
the way he says it is kind of like Obi-Wan dead? Like he doesn't believe it. I don't think
Maybe
Dooku
that's where he
believes Obi-Wan's dead.
deduces. Yeah, maybe that's where he deduces. How do we know that Hardeen's actually Hardeen? What if this is not
Yeah.
some kind of Jedi mind trick here or something? You know, it might be Hardeen, but it might be he might under the influence of the like Hardeen killed Obi-Wan. Is Hardeen in on it with the Republic? Like, is that maybe that's where they're thinking? Where is Hardeen the one that the Republic's paid off, and that's what they want you to believe is that Hardeen's the one that killed him? And then when he's in the round, but hell, I'd choose Cad Bane over anybody. Cad Bane's a badass. Like, come on,
Yeah, I was gonna when I asked you this question, I was gonna be like, other than like looking really cool, why did he choose Cad Bane?
yeah, maybe he likes Blue Guy. I don't know. Big Blue Guy fan, but Blue maybe he's a Blue Man group. He likes them on Earth, and he's like, you know what, Cad Bane. Just the way the Cad talks, that he's got me convinced. Like, dude talks like he's some kind of Western robot. I don't know. He's interesting. But Jordan, every time I watch one of these shows, though, when the bounty hunters show up, I was like, I don't know how you do it, but like, can we get, I don't know, 3 or 4 seasons of just a show called Bounty Hunters, and it follows bounty hunters?
Well, they've
Like,
done Tales of the Jedi, they've done Tales of the Empire. How about Tales of the Bounty Hunter?
yeah,
That'd be a
it'd be
cool
so
one.
fun. Like, because you could get into different bounty hunters and their relationships. Because I imagine they don't like each other, just like this kind of shows. They've got, you're marking on somebody else's territory. Like, you're killing.
I think of
somebody.
it like like a team. Like sometimes when they work as a team, it feels like very. You have 5 superstars on one team, and they
Yeah,
all want the ball,
yeah.
and it's like, oh, we can't work that way though. Like that's how I kind of think of
So
them.
basically, a bunch of Kevin Durant's. Like, you got 5 Kevin
Yeah,
Durant. Like, that's what this feels like. You're right. Like, that's exactly what it is. And I think it would just be fun. And because Han Solo is who he is, it's like that'd be cool to somehow be able to tie this all to Solo and how much they hate Solo and how they probably all hate Solo at this point, right? Like, well,
Well, at this point, Solo's like
not at this
5 years
point,
old, 10 years
but
old.
no, I meant like I think it would be interesting, Jordan. I think a show like this where you got, I don't know, maybe like 6, 7 bounty hunters that you kind of follow, and they don't get along with each other, and they've
Yeah,
got different territories that they kind of like Game of Thrones, just like where you got the different families. You could have this with bounties.
that'd be interesting. Um, but yeah, I think maybe Dooku probably does think something's up. I know people will be like, Jordan, you've seen these before. I do not remember the next episode at all. Without like, once I start watching it, I might be like, oh, I remember this one. But I don't remember the next episode like at all off the top of my head. So I'm like, actually, I don't know if this is revealed that if Dooku knows or doesn't know. Um, Another thing that's funny is, when we were talking about how like season 2 was called like Rise of the Bounty Hunters or something, and I was like, oh, we're gonna get some good bounty
Yeah,
hunter stuff. Yeah, I was wrong. This is the episode I was thinking about that whole season. That
I was
whole
gonna say
season,
because
I'm
that one
like,
was not as good. Like I felt like the bounty hunter one this time was the one I was envisioning when you were talking about bounty hunter. Because when you said that, I was kind of like, that was all right, but I was thinking we'd get more like the actual tons of bounty hunters.
yeah, and it was this I was thinking of myself. I was like, I remember there being an episode focusing on the bounty hunters in this box doing these tasks, and I was like, when is that? I did not remember when it was. It's this episode. And I forget that Obi-Wan was in it. I would just remember like Cad Bane with Embo and like people like that. I totally forgot that Obi-Wan was in this episode at all. So uh, just this is what I was talking about, and it really is surprising that season 2 is called Rise of the Bounty Hunters because I really don't think that there was as much bounty hunters to have that tagline. I guess other than Senate murders, that was like the only bounty hunter stuff, and I
Yeah,
guess
it
we started
really
getting into
was.
Cad Bane, so I guess that was a thing, but um it was really only like a couple episodes. I feel like this one has had a lot more. Season 4 has been really fun. I'll say so. Like we're almost done season 4. We got 2 weeks left. Is this like up there for your favorite season so far, or like what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this is my favorite season so far. I think so, and I know just looking at IMDb, I know it's coming, and what we've talked about as far as planning. So I know this will end up being my favorite so far. But yeah, I mean, there's been a couple episodes obviously that have been but um, yeah, this one just these last two really. I mean, they've been great as far as episodes are concerned in weeks.
Yeah, like the arcs. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. I mean, this is like I said, we got 2 weeks left. So next week we'll be talking Crisis on Naboo, which continues this storyline. We'll have Massacre, which is written by Katie Lucas. We'll have Bounty, which is also written by Katie Lucas. And then we'll have the week after that, the last 2 episodes of season 4, both written by Katie Lucas. She writes the last 4 of the season. Season 5 is like the only other. We'll have like one episode out of place there, I think, and then we're kind of, going through normal from there. I think it's just like a one little out of thing there. But holy crap, that's amazing. How fast we've got through season 4. I know because we do like 3 or 4 a week, and I think this season we had like maybe 3 weeks of 4, so it's been a little faster because that's like
Hmm.
12 episodes right there. But yeah, I don't know. I just feel like season 4 has gone by so fast, and we're quickly approaching the end of this arc here, and really excited. Massacre, by the way, has some ties to the Tales of the Empire that just released. That episode does. So I was driving around, like, we're going through stuff here in the room. I had to keep buying these plastic containers. I did take like 3 trips yesterday buying plastic storage containers, and I'm listening to a podcast talking about Tales of the Empire, and I kept thinking like, oh, should I try to fit this in instead of like this one episode of Tales of the Empire like around this time or not? I
Hmm.
debated. I decided not to. I think what I'm going to do is just stick with chronological Clone Wars is chronological order, yes, but only for the show Clone Wars. I'm not trying to fit in other chronological stuff with this. We'll end chronological Clone Wars with the Tales of the Jedi series, and then we'll go into Bad Batch. And I think after Bad Batch, we'll do Tales of the Empire, and then
Yeah.
maybe Rebels or something. I think that's probably the way I'm leaning on how we'll do this. I was actually playing around with creating our logo for the Bad Batch thing.
Oh yeah.
So
I'll
I'll show you
pretend.
some of that
Yeah.
because that'll be fun. Ways away from that though. I know we'll be done probably by early July recording, but these things are going to be, I think, all the way up to October through September. So the listeners and viewers will have quite a lot of episodes that'll carry them through. I think this is the first one that'll be releasing on Fridays now. And as I mentioned on the last episode, we're releasing these on Fridays because we are currently doing our Acolyte recaps on Wednesdays, and I wanted to spread those out, so that way it's not releasing 2 episodes on the same day. Just makes more sense. And if you don't hear us talk about, oh, the Acolyte's really good right now, it's because we're recording these so in advance that the Acolyte has not aired yet. So um, you won't get any discussion of that on our end. Are you excited for that? Is that one that you're going to wait for the full show to be done? Or like, I know you kind of fell behind on some of this stuff before. So like, what's your level of like for these next shows here? Are you like? Do you prefer to binge, or you prefer the week to week? Like, what's your usual watch when it comes to Disney Plus or just any of these shows?
I think Star Wars. The only one I fell behind on was Andor.
Ahsoka, you watched all
That's right.
afterwards too.
That's right. Yeah. So yeah, I guess I did. There was a time there where both them and Marvel. Like I've still not. And with I know you asked Star Wars and I always take it to other places, but Marvel I've fallen behind. I've not seen the Marvels yet. But with Star Wars, I would say I'm typically way better at watching Star Wars ones as the week to week basis. I think mostly because I've done more shows with you that required me to do week to week. But I prefer to watch these week to week. Whereas Marvel, you know what? Like, I feel like Star Wars is getting a lot better. There's some great storytelling happening, and the shows that are coming out, I'm more excited for than I am with Marvel. And I think maybe that's why I fall behind on Marvel because I'm just not as invested as I used to be with Marvel. Um, I'm much more into the Star Wars stuff now.
So are you? So you'll be trying to watch Acolyte weekly?
Yeah, week to week. Yeah.
Cool. First 2 episodes of that launch on June 4th, and I
It's
think this
soon.
episode's releasing that first week. So um, by now, there should be a 2-part recap up there for you for the first 2 episodes. There's rumors they're going to put the first 2 in theaters. And if so, I think I'm going to try to go to that.
You know what's interesting is Jordan, like we were talking about last week's episode. I was thinking that I was going to ask you that because we were talking about Phantom Menace, but like I was going to ask, like, do you think some of these eventually they'll play kind of like in a theater setting?
Well, I've told this story before, but I have the Star Wars Twitter notifications on, and the day that they announced the Mandalorian and Grogu film, their tweet was The Mandalorian and Grogu are heading to theaters. And I was like, I just saw the notification pop up. And I'm like, before I clicked it, I was like, oh, are they putting
Mm,
Mandalorian in theaters? I'll
yeah.
go see a few episodes if so. And then I open it up and I'm like, oh no, it's a new movie that they're making. So that's where my first thought was, because they've done it for a few. I think, was it one of the Marvel ones? Or maybe it was Mando when it first came out. I can't remember. But they did put a few episodes of, um, it may have been Mando season one, like the first two in theaters or something. Or it was like one of those Marvel shows around that time. And then for Ahsoka, the episode 5, I believe it was, the one where they go to the world between worlds, I believe that one was released in select theaters. None were really close to me though, so I couldn't go. Um, or I would have. So then this week that we're recording, there was a link through Cinemark where it has the first two episodes, no showtimes yet, but it says like Acolyte episodes 1 and 2 release.
Hmm.
And if that's not like select, if that's like as widespread as the Phantom Menace ones, I'm going to go to that because I
Yeah.
think it would be cool. Also, if you're Disney, why the hell not? Star Wars fans will go to that and you will make money off of
Yeah.
the hardcore fans for putting it in some theaters. Doesn't have to be like 3,000 theaters, but if you
Mhm.
put it in like 1 to 2,000 theaters, Star Wars
You're gonna make
hardcore
money.
Star Wars fans will
Yeah.
go, and then they'll watch it again on Disney Plus when they get
Yeah.
home to be like, "What did I miss when I went to the bathroom?" You know, like
Yeah.
they'll rewatch it or whatever. And I'm one of those,
Yeah.
so definitely do that. They don't have to do it every week, but like if you
Right.
do special stuff like this, that'd be really cool.
And I've wondered if other streaming platforms have thought of that because I know you lose a lot of money, but like the big time shows, you would make money. Like this would be like releasing a film. You would get
Well,
that
like
revenue.
yeah, you mean to tell me Stranger Things can't release
Right.
season 5 in theaters? Like the
Yep.
people would go to that for sure.
Yes. Yep.
Would it
Just
make
as the,
it wouldn't make like as much as a movie because
no.
it's not exclusive, but people, the hardcore fans will be like, I want to see Stranger Things on the big screen.
Yep.
And they'd go see like the first episode or something. Especially
Finales too. Yep.
if you release it like the week before or a few days before it's supposed to be on Netflix, then people will be like, "Oh, I get to see it a couple days
That's
early." Or
exclusive access.
like yeah, people would go do that.
Star Wars, especially anything Harry
Oh yeah.
Potter, anything Lord of the Rings, like those big fan bases. Yes, absolutely. You could pitch it by saying, "See it a week early." People would, or just see it in
Yeah.
theaters. Dolby screens, like people would, people still enjoy the movie going experience.
Yes. Yeah.
COVID did
And
not kill it.
Phantom Menace shows that. I mean, it made
Yeah,
like 15 million on opening weekend
yeah,
worldwide for a movie that's 25 years old that you already have on either DVD or on streaming. Like people
yeah.
went to go see it for the theater experience. And yeah, doing that for a TV show where you could be like, here's the first two episodes. See it the day before. Like if it's a Tuesday release, see it Monday night. Or we'll play it Friday night and whatever. You could even do the Tuesday night and just be like, instead of streaming it, catch it 2 hours early. People will be there. I will be there. So that'd be fun. But yeah, so next week we'll be talking Crisis on Naboo, Massacre, and Bounty. Those are season 4, episodes 18 through 20. And that'll be our 30th week of the Clone Wars rewatch, which is a 43-week adventure if you take out Tales of the Jedi. So we only have like 14 weeks left. So we're in the home stretch, I guess you would say, at this point. The final third of our rewatch. Yeah, so make sure you contact us at podawakens on all of our social media, podawakens@gmail.com. You can like and subscribe to us here on the YouTube channel, rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Have a great rest of your week. We will catch you next time here on Chronological Clone Wars.